Hello, friends. Welcome back to Stylist Soul Tribe Conversations. I'm joined with one of my very favorite humans today, Kristen Soseman. She's been on the podcast a few times already. If you haven't noticed, have been slacking a little bit in my podcasting game. I'm not quite hitting my weekly uploads like I did for the first year, and I'm giving myself grace with that, but I realized I didn't have a lot on the agenda, and I always know that Kristen is like a go-to person if I want to put out a fire episode and have a good conversation to have her on. So I sent her a message a couple weeks ago, and she scheduled for today. And we were just catching up before we hit record. And I had to interrupt her and say, okay, we need to stop. This is getting too good already. We need to start recording, or we're just going to have this conversation privately. So, hello, Kristen. How are you today?
Hey, I'm so good. I'm so happy to be back. Always happy to chat and have good conversation with you. When you ask me, you're like, it's been a minute since you've been on the podcast. Any
Yeah,
conversation with you is always a good one. So,
love it. Love it.
yeah,
So,
happy to be here.
we were chatting before we hit record. Neither of us had any idea of what we were going to talk about when we came into this. I was like, do you have any idea? And she was like, that's so funny because I was thinking that yesterday. I was like, probably at the exact same time. And ChatGPT spit her out a few different ideas. She got like 2 items down on her list, and we came up with like 15 things to talk about already. So, what I want to start with, what ChatGPT, the 3 words it gave that I then ran with, is intuition in leadership. So, I guess it's always so hard to get started, but then once we get into it, I know it's going to get really good. So, like, how do you even want to start to crack that egg open, Kristen?
Let me tell just a little bit about a quick little backstory
Okay.
on myself, just in case people
This
don't.
isn't the first. This is the first episode of
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So, as Lisa said, I'm Kristen. I live in California. I was a hairdresser, now retired. I have a handful of clients, but we don't talk about them because there's no more coming in. But I did hair for over 20 years and absolutely loved it. It's served such a wonderful purpose. And when COVID happened, I had dove real deep into my own energy healing and was kind of faced with this like now or never jump like situation, right? I was presented an opportunity where I wasn't allowed to work behind the chair.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, what to do now? I decided at that moment, I think on a clubhouse call, I claimed it and was like, I am now fully shifting into this
Yeah.
new
Yeah.
career. So I do energy coaching, energy work, meditation, sound healing. I am the fairy godmother of the soul tribe crew. Lisa and I have been friends for a long time. So I owned a salon for many, many years and I taught in the hair industry for years. So that leadership word, it means a lot to me. Even though I'm not working with a team now, I work with people individually, and leadership is something that feel is so, so important and also lacking in so many situations. And so what's really cool about my job now is I get to, number one, support the leaders, and number two, support their teams
Yeah.
in these processes of meditation and energy healing. So that's really great. And when it comes to intuition and leadership, so many people hear the word intuition, they're like, what even is that? I think every time we get into these conversations, it's like, how do you explain
Yeah.
Reiki, energy? And intuition is one of them. And intuition is something that every single one of us has, and it comes through in so many different ways. And sometimes, most of the time, our intuition is something that we've actually been taught to doubt. We've been taught to listen to others and authority. And, we are inundated with social media and connectivity to where you can at any point look at what someone else is doing and think you're doing the wrong thing.
Yeah. And I also think that so many of us have become so hardwired with like anxieties that a lot of people have a hard time differentiating between like anxious thoughts and intuition because they're both internal dialogue, but it is a very different feeling that comes from both of those. I feel so lucky and grateful and blessed that like my intuition is so clear to me. I have anxious thoughts. I have moments of doubt, but for some reason it's almost like those are two entirely different like languages that speak to me that like I know when they're coming in from different directions.
Well, that's super important that you're saying that, Lise, because it's actually something you have to determine. And for everyone is super different. Like they
Mm.
are going to come through like different channels. Intuition will never speak to you or share with you information from a level of anxiety.
Mm.
Intuition does not put you in a state of fear.
Mm.
Your intuition will not put you in a state of anxiety,
Mhm.
unease, like those like icky feelings of I'm not
Okay,
sure.
but sometimes intuition does come in that way where it's like, oh, that
No, that
intuitively
is
feels wrong to me.
least I will say it will give you the feeling of I don't think I should move forward with this, but it's never going to give you the anxious feeling that's going to sit and stay.
And
Does
that's
that
like
make more sense?
scarcity driven.
Yeah, yes.
Because
If
I
you
can say there are certain opportunities, people that intuitively I'm just like, I know that's not for me. But then there will be someone who's on the cusp of an opportunity that maybe their intuition wants to say yes, but then their self doubt is like, oh, what if you blow it all up? And what if, you go broke? What if all these things happen? And then they're thinking, is this my intuition? Is this the bad feeling? Should I listen to this? And it's for some people, it's really hard to differentiate that.
Yeah, when you get those like feelings of am I going to blow it all up, all of those things, that's inner critic. Like as soon as you started saying those things, your intuition, it might come up as a feeling of like you said that apprehension or like that's not for me, but it's not going to feed you the dialogue that's going to send you into a spiral. Your
Mhm.
intuition does not speak to you like that.
Yes.
Intuition is your best friend. Intuition is always on your side for your highest good. So
Mhm.
if you're moving towards something that is not for your highest good, your intuition might give you feelings of like, no, do not do this.
But don't
But
you
like,
agree that's more of a knowing than this spiral of
it
thought?
is. Yep,
Yes.
exactly. And I think, like I said, the feeling is very different. So it's differentiating those feelings. And
Mhm.
that can be hard to do. It is hard to do, especially if you're super busy and you're not slowing down to pay attention. You
Mhm.
have to figure out what is the language of my intuition? How does my intuition speak to me? Is it
Yeah.
through visions? Is it through words that I hear, lyrics in a song? Is it through feelings and gut knowings? Is it through hearing? Is it through feeling? Is it through seeing? There's so many different ways we receive information. So how does my intuition talk to me? But your intuition will never be mean. Your intuition will never talk smack to you. Sometimes mine gets a little sassy because I'm
Okay.
sassy. So
Mhm.
like sometimes I'll be like, I am not going to do that. And she'll be like,
Bitch, yes, you are.
no, she'll just be like, bitch, like, come on. Like she's, but she knows that that's my banter. And so
Yeah.
that's exactly how she'll speak to me as well. And I'm calling her she like it's a real ass person
Yeah.
because I have gotten to know it so loudly, that voice and that knowing that it's like a no hesitation. Actually, if I don't follow that, I'm feeling really uneasy.
That's when
And
anxiety
so,
starts.
yeah, so I think give yourself time to like get to know what the intuition language is. And if you need help doing that, hit me up. I'm always here.
For
That's
sure.
what I do.
Yeah.
I had to do it myself. And
Yeah.
now I'm teaching other people how to do that. And it's really cool because once you lock in with her, him, her, it,
Yeah.
you're thick as thieves. And really that is such a great compass for your entire business.
Yeah, I agree.
And
One thing that came up as soon as Kristen said intuition and leadership, I thought of a Marco Polo I received this morning. I won't say your name just in case something, doesn't follow through, or it was just, this was just a quick passing polo, which I receive these all the time. It actually came in last night, but I saw it this morning. Someone sent me a salon that just became available right down the road from her existing salon. She is currently bursting at the seams at her salon space. She's already full with the people that she has. She just had a new booth renter become interested. She's signing her on, but like they are truly at capacity for the square footage that she has. I think if she was on this call speaking for herself, intuitively, she is feeling drawn towards growth, towards leadership. She feels like she's on the right path when she's bringing these new people in. She is ready to expand. And this salon became available. And it's like actually bonkers. It is fully furnished, stunning, like gorgeous,
wow, not
stunning,
even like she
ready
has
to
to like
go.
gut it.
She doesn't have to do a single thing. In fact, she needs to figure out what to do with all of her shit because that's how good it is. She doesn't want to take anything with her. It is double her rent, it's double the space. And she's just like, oh my God, am I ready to do that or not? And so obviously she has to run numbers because you have to filter
Mhm.
all this through some sort of sense and grounded space. But like I asked her that question, but I know a lot of people will have an opportunity to present themselves. And of course, there's the excitement, but like that intuition of like when you're going to make a big jump or a big leap or like take a leap of faith and really take a risk. I would love to hear your take on intuition and that.
I mean, it's such a case by case situation, but it sounds like with this girl, the first thing you got to look at is like you said, logisticals, like what logically like it actually makes sense. Numbers, can I afford this? Can I afford this if a couple people leave? Like, and
Mhm.
also looking at your current business, like looking at the things right now. Do I like the way my business is running? Do I like the people who are working in my business?
Mhm.
Because if you were like, her ass is always on fire. She's bursting at the seam, but she's like, it's kind of chaotic and like she doesn't have a great team and all this. I'd be like,
Not the time to expand.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'd be like, no. But if she's bursting at the seams to where because she's in a, small town that's like fantastic and it's growing and she has the capacity to grow and to
Mhm.
give that more time, because same thing, logistics here. Like if
Mhm.
you have a family and all those things, whenever you're making a bigger decision, you have to factor those things in because you only have so much time in the day and so much energy in your body.
Yeah.
But intuitively, that can be a tricky one because it is like a scary thing in the what ifs, like when you start going down the what if spiral. And so I think, first leaning on those logistics to like give yourself, I think part of the unknown and the scary feels from lacking intuition is not knowing those things first.
I
So,
think starting with brain, just because there
yep.
are some people that are almost toxic into the, oh, my intuition's telling me to do this, even if on paper it makes no sense at all. And we can all see this is going to burn down from a mile away.
Amen. It's just like a big magic idea, Lise. It's just one of my favorite sayings is just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
They all told me that I should have two locations and I should grow and expand in my business when I actually didn't want that.
So your intuition is yelling at you.
My
Every
intuition was
time you
like,
took steps towards that, it was like,
it was like, yes, I could grow this. And I did all the numbers and I did all the things and I wrapped my head around it and I felt good when I did that. But then
Mhm.
when I started talking about it with my business coaching group, which is why it's so amazing that she has Soul Tribe to come to and chat with about this stuff. Once
Mhm.
I started chatting it out with them, they reminded me, they're like, girl, you need more time for yourself, more time for your family, and more time for your mental well being. And two businesses is not going to
Do that.
at
Mhm.
all. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, you guys are right. Yeah, I could have made it work. I wouldn't be here doing what I'm doing right now if that
Yeah.
would have happened. Understanding those logistics first gives you a little bit of, like you said, you wrapped your mind around it and then you start to sit with it in your body. And I think in the body tells a lot. We've talked about this
Mhm.
through energy trifecta and the energy centers and where we store things in our body. If
Yeah.
you have always been told to play small, you're going to get a pit in your stomach when you think about going bigger. And
Yeah.
so in my body, is it resisting because there's a past thing that needs to be addressed and kind of looked at and, something that needs to be healed?
Yeah.
Or is that actually like something that I need to look into a little bit further and is my gut feeling telling me something else? So mind, body, and then energy,
Yeah.
how does it really, when you sit with it and feel, because, and sometimes this really does take like, I know so many people resist meditation because it's my brain
Mhm.
goes too fast and I can't do it. But taking yourself even to the park for 10 minutes and sitting in the grass before you like sit with yourself,
Mhm.
because feelings are very subtle. They're
Quiet.
like little whispers of wind or feathers that blow in. And as soon as they blow in, sometimes they blow out.
Yeah.
Intuitive hits are like that.
Yeah.
So if you are in a space where you have kids and your business and all the things and you're just running and you sit down with yourself and you're trying to ask yourself questions, you're going to get chaos.
Yeah.
You're
Solitude
not,
and white space, are a must. It's almost like there's going to be too much static. It's like a radio signal. The way to clear that channel and hear it is solitude, quiet, white space.
do you know how much I drive in the car with no music on?
Mm-hmm.
I love music. I love
Mhm.
listening to music. The other day I was driving over like 40 minutes and I put music on. It was the first time I had music on when I drove in a long time. And I actually wanted that. I wanted to
Yeah.
just
You
enjoy
were
the drive. I
yeah.
was just like
Mhm.
looking to feel good. And so, but solitude, that sitting with yourself, and if that bothers you,
Mhm. I know.
sorry, but there's way more to look at
That's
because
what you need to unpack and dive into. Yeah, I was just saying this to Ryan the other day. Skylar said something the other day that she doesn't like to be by herself. And of course, she's 12. I remember feeling that way when I was 12. I got bored. I don't have
totally.
friends around. I get it. But then Ryan, we were literally sitting in the drive-through for the pharmacy, and the line was very long. I was like, okay, you go inside. I'm going to stay right here. If I get to the line before you, I'll text you. If you get to the line before me, you text me. He's like, no, just park and come with me. I was like, oh, do you have separation anxiety? What the fuck is your problem? And he's like, yeah, I don't want to go in there alone. I was like, you're like Skylar. And I told him what Skylar had just said. And he is someone, when he gets his drive, he likes his drives to work. That's when he does his thinking. But like, and that's every time I hear people say that, I'm like, there is nothing I love more than 5 minutes of
Same
just
girl.
Lisa and only Lisa. And I, again, if I have that too long, I crave my loved ones, I crave my
Of
family,
course.
I crave my friends. But like, if you don't regularly have that time with just you and you don't find yourself craving that, I think, who am I to say? But for me, you should explore that. Because I used to feel how Skylar did. I used to just throw my
Same.
arm in it. And once I went through healing, I realized how much peace came with just like me and my inner knowing.
And also knowing that's not going to happen forever. You're not always going to hate to sit in that space because once you unpack those things, and if you're doing it by yourself and you're still confused, like maybe
Yeah.
it's going to take a long time. You have some company, some community, a coach that you can go to and say, where are these coming from? Like, I just finished a month of coaching with two new girls, and they just went through energy trifecta, and both of them feel like they just went to college. Like, one of them said to me the other day, she's like, I feel so smart. And I was like, well, good. Because now that you've learned all this stuff, you get the opportunity to practice. This is what I call the fireball stage. So, like, this is going to be where things are going to come at you, and you're going to have an opportunity to take these things that you've learned about yourself and implement them. And
Yeah.
it's so neat to do, but there's so many layers to unpack there. So if white space, if quiet time is something that you dread, I will tell you right now, your intuition is going to be a real hard voice to
To
find.
heal.
Find even. Like
Yeah.
some people are like, I don't even know if I have that. She's so quiet because your
You
ego's
never
trying to
asked
control
for help.
everything. Your
Yeah.
inner critic is telling you you're a piece of shit your whole life, and your inner child's just scared to do anything. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
you're literally being led by these other three that are
Yeah.
going on. So quiet time, white space, getting to know the language of your intuition and how they speak to us.
There's just when you're unaware, you're not familiar with that coming in. I always prioritized friendships. I mean, I remember I used to have sleepover after sleepover. It was just friends, and then it was my boyfriend, and then it was always like other energy. I craved other energy. There was probably childhood things to unpack with that. But with time, I've gotten that solitude. But then we talked about before we hit record the importance of, or just the impact of sharing big things with people. And so I always start internally, but then I do have a handful of people. You're one of them. I have a few of them. And there's even certain people, it's not like there's just you are this person or you're not, but there's even certain people when I want a little like, okay, I've sat with this a lot. I'd love to hear this person's perspective on this specifically. Like I have these like tools that I move
I've
to.
unpacked all the business stuff and the mind stuff. Now I need to go talk to Kristen and see energetically like
Yeah, and I mean, I have
where
my
this is at.
sister, I have my
Yeah.
husband for a different take. I have
Yeah.
Hunter's a good friend of mine. I have certain people in Soul Tribe that I want a certain take from just because it's like almost like, okay, I see a pretty clear picture, but there's like a little blurb right here, and I think so. And so my intuition will almost tell me who knows how to help with that blurb. It's weird. But then you shared, and I also very much relate to this, that sometimes we shouldn't share with others, or we are so clear on our intuition and we're almost get excited and that doesn't go how we hoped it went. They start to put in what you, whether it's what you were hoping for or not, but some seeds of doubt that then now what was very crystal clear to you or intuitively felt really good is now starting to make you doubt yourself. And I think a lot of people have this with their family, like their old limiting beliefs from childhood. Like they, if you present that to your parent or your husband or someone, they'd be saying, oh, we don't do that because there's all this doubt. So if you want to get vulnerable and share a little bit about what you experienced with that, and then I'll chime in too, because I do think I have a lot of clarity of when I do want that, but then I learn from it. Like once I bring something to someone and it intuitively goes against my knowing, I'm like, it's okay. That's their knowing and that's good for them. And now I know what I need to turn to those people for moving forward. You get what I'm saying?
Well, it's like Skylar's helping us so much to go from layer to layer right now because like what she craves and this like that connection she wants to be around her friends and stuff, that is what I got sucked into just recently, like an old deep seated something I've healed through, dealt with, whatever, but that shit creeps up like nobody's business in different ways. It's when you are constantly in a space of, even if you're in a mastermind, I think there's a lot of masterminds where people get an idea, they go straight to the mastermind, they hear all these opinions, they get so overwhelmed,
Could not agree more.
they don't know what the fuck to do because
Could
they've
not, we
just
should put a pin in that and
to
we should remember that for hot seats too, because we've said that after every single one. And I think we need to talk more on the importance of that. But sorry, keep going.
yeah, and it really like because the thing is when you're getting opinions from outside of yourself, you are literally getting everyone else's stories attached to those opinions. It's whatever their life has presented them. So if
And
somebody's
sometimes that's
life
valuable. Sometimes
sometimes
it's
it is
not.
valuable. And mine, the old wound that got that kind of struck up in me. So I had an intuitive hit that I was supposed to host an experience, and I was like, okay, I'm going to run with this. Here I go. And I put my foot on the gas and I started going. And I didn't really talk about it a lot because I already knew there was a demand and a need because people were asking for it. I put one foot in front of the other. And as I started to plan, it was a retreat, and I didn't even really start, I wasn't even talking about it yet, but there was some people who had been to the same place that I was going to host this retreat at. And I heard one of them talking about her experience, and it was very different from my experience. She didn't really enjoy herself. She didn't like the amenities. She had an uncomfortable, that she said the sound bath wasn't great, like all these different things, right? All these different layers. And I listened to her telling this whole bunch of people that I thought might be interested in coming to my retreat. Well, guess what? Guess who's not going to be now? And so that started to get in my head. I thought I had my mind up of who would come. So like there's the ego, like, oh, I thought all these people were going to come. And then my old inner child stuff came up of mean girl shit.
Yeah.
Like
doing
they're
this
not going to want to
me,
sit
or
with
who knows.
me. They, like, I don't fit in. They're not like me, blah, blah, all this shit. And I was like, oh my God. And I sat with myself in meditation and I said, show me what I'm supposed to see. Show me this higher level of perspective around this thing that I can't see anything but, like, because I'm in it, right? And what I saw is this woman and I are very different people. And I saw her experience, not in detail, because I don't know everything about her life, but I saw her tendencies, her energy, her past stories, all these things. And then I saw mine. And I'm like, no wonder we had very different experiences at this place, because we are very different humans. And just because she's not aligned up with this retreat doesn't mean that I should abandon what I should be doing. The very next day, I had a journal prompt. And it was, what decision have you made lately out of safety versus vision? And I was like, motherfucker. Like, as soon as it came up, I knew. I literally had 2 people ask me about that retreat. And I was like, okay, here I go. Back again, foot on the gas. And here I go again. So, it was a big lesson for me in, like, number one, just because it's not right for this person that I think is in my circle. Because that's the thing. It's like, I'm like, oh, we're so much alike. And it's like, really, we are in certain things, but like very much different in so many
Different
others.
strokes for different folks, in trusting the divine timing of that. It doesn't mean that the next one or 3 more or whatever is not the right, maybe that will be the right time for her. Maybe this one's not, I kind of had a similar experience even at this last Thrivers X Club retreat that I went to. It was really nice for me to be at the perspective of being an attendee to a retreat, because it was incredible. I mean, to no surprise, everything that Britt and Thrivers does is incredible. And so from my perspective, I now have a different lens knowing what goes into it. And I found myself hearing people's, just, they gather and they talk. And interestingly enough, for a lot of people, negativity is just what comes out of their mouth easier than positivity. That's just the world we live in. And hearing just these tiny little nitpicky comments, or these, oh, I'm so annoyed that I didn't get this lunch, or, oh, I really wish that exercise would have went differently. It gave me so much peace, because when I'm hosting my own retreats and I hear little bits of those, which again, it is human nature. People are allowed to do that. It's healthy to do that. I hold that so heavy, and like the way that lives in my body, I do not like that feeling, and I've been trying to figure that out and work through that. It gave me so much clarity that no matter what you do, it's not going to be exactly everything for everyone. And that gave me a ton of peace, and that's what I need to continue to go in and remember as I continue to bring my experiences to life as well.
It's a major lesson in ego right there, girl. Like that is, the ego is, people think ego is like so cocky, and it's like, no, it's literally trying to control every fucking aspect of your life. And so many of us have shifted into that because the ego also defends and, does all these things. Like, sometimes it's there for a reason. My ego got me through some hard shit in life.
Even be a version of confidence, which is healthy to have a little bit of that.
It is. But when it's running the show,
it doesn't feel good.
No, it doesn't feel good. And it really is like I think you said it's just the way the world is. That's sad to me, that the world can't just be, we can't just be in something and like experience, even if the exercise didn't go the way it did, like, or that you wished it did, why didn't it? Is it actually the exercise, or was it every time I find myself
Well,
talking
and I'm
shit
sorry, if
about
you happen
something,
to feel
I
that way
look at
about the
myself.
exercise, but also about lunch, but also about your room, but also about the pool, like maybe that is telling there's something to unpack there.
Yeah, like it's like the people that say this always happens, stuff like this always happens to me, and I'm like, that it's going to keep as long as
Casting.
that's the loop.
You're casting a spell. And you know what you just
Literally.
said, the world is like that. I did just catch myself for a minute. Maybe is it? Or is that just what I'm around right now? And that's just what I'm aware of right now? Because I believe in that wholeheartedly. And I don't like making blanket statements like that. But I agree. People are like, oh, if my knowing my luck, this will go terrible. Or of course my flight's gonna get delayed because it always will. Or oh, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I wholeheartedly, I know you wholeheartedly agree in that. And again, I don't say any of this, and I hope nobody listening, I don't know if it's my ego getting a little worried. I don't want to offend anybody or have anybody be like, shit, is she talking about me? We all do it.
I
It's
actually do want to piss
nature.
people off. And it's not in a way of like, I hope that you're fucking feeling like shit about yourself. I hope this triggers the fuck out of you so that you actually make some change. Because if you're feeling triggered by anything Lisa and I are saying, we are not attacking. I don't have one fucking person in mind. Talk
Yeah.
about blanket statements. Like when you were speaking right now, I could see that. It is common. It is more common for people to think negatively, for people to be right now so convicted in their opinions. And I'm like, listen, I am not saying that you can't be convicted in your opinions and like know who you are, but like, are they actually yours?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sitting with yourself and just taking a
And
breath
again, going
sometimes.
back to if intuition never feels bad and you're always feeling bad, what is that?
Yeah. Usually there's deeper things and something's not sitting right within self. So that's why I said if your practice isn't going the way it's supposed to in yoga, in a business class, in whatever, I think about you give every single person who comes into Soul Tribe the same opportunity. Some people are going to run with it and go all in. And some people are going to be like, this is too hard. This is too much. This is how I do things. So this is uncomfortable. Yep. And it's going to be uncomfortable until you have a new way. Just like I said about those voices and the narratives and the anxiety and not knowing what intuition is, that's only temporary. You get to figure that out and then you get through it and then you're like, oh, I know what my intuition is. And even me, who's like, people think that I'm not fucking real human. I shared what I shared because like I still get swallowed up. I was on the acupuncture table a couple weeks ago and she was doing this aura clearing and out of the blue, she says one thing about my mother, which I've dealt with in therapy years. I can talk about my mother without even getting emotional or like feeling a charge anymore. I lost it.
Yeah.
Literally started bawling and it dug down to this something deeper that was happening in my life currently. It triggered that old thing. So all I had to do was like sit with it, see it, how and remind myself that my value is not measured on anything I do in life. And I hope somebody who needed to hear that right now heard it. Whatever you do in this life is not going to like it's never going to supersede the value that you just have just being. You are a beautiful human being who doesn't need to do anything to deserve love, to be seen, to be accepted, to have friends, none of that stuff. You are just fucking amazing how you are. So I hope somebody, like I said,
That was good
needed to hear
channeling.
that.
I could
I
tell
did,
when that came
dude.
in,
I'm
and I
like,
just gotta
boom.
let you keep going because that needed to come out. I could not agree more. And I think we're so obsessed with all these things that we're doing: personal growth, energy healing, being better, growing business, growing personally, that it does. I take the weight and the responsibility very strong of that. That does cultivate a space where you can toxically think, I have to do more, I have to be more, I have to show my value, I have to, keep growing, keep growing, keep growing. I say only when that feels intuitively right. And there are seasons of slow and there are seasons of decompressing. There are seasons of, did you see on Kylie's story when she shared that tomato about bed rotting, the tomato breaking down into
Oh yeah.
like
Yeah.
becoming moldy,
Growing into
becoming
all, yes.
disgusting, but then the seeds blooming and blossoming from there. There are seasons of stillness, there are seasons of push. And I, again, just take that responsibility because you never know who's going to hear this when. And there are times when you shouldn't feel ashamed that you want to grow. If that is what feels good and that's what feels right, and everything else is running smoothly. But then there are absolutely, you cannot be foot on the gas all the time. And like people have to hear that and feel that and just let off and exhale sometimes.
Well, and I think sometimes we get that need. It's like a hunger pain. Sometimes you get hungry and you're like, I'm hungry. I just ate. That's weird. But you're really actually thirsty. So, like, is it that you need to grow in your business right now, or do you need to look at a different area? Like there's mind, there's body, there's spirit, there's business, you know what I mean? So like I sometimes when I'm feeling that urge, like I need to grow, which part of me is calling for growth right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like at
I'm just
sitting with your,
I believe
yeah.
a lot in divine timing that like if you can just surrender and like quiet the noise of am I supposed to make that decision? Like just become aware of what starts to come up, what starts to present itself, what starts to fall into your lap.
Yeah. Little hits, little glimmers. You know, I've had people who have started working with me. They're like, I only know you through this person.
Yeah.
But when I was thinking about like, something going on in me the other day, you popped into my head. And it's like, that's what I'm talking about with intuition. You might not know the person or like, so if there's a degree of separation between you and, Lisa and whatever, it's like reach out to the person that you know and dig a little
That's
deeper and
happening for a
follow
reason.
that thread. Yeah. Like
Yep.
listen to what's showing up for you for sure.
Mm,
Man,
good stuff.
such good stuff.
I knew it was going to be good.
I know, so did I. Never doubt it. Ever doubt it. You put a pin in something. What was it? It was about
Oh, I said that for us to talk about at the next retreat.
oh, got it.
Just about again, I hold this weight and this responsibility of there is such power in community. There is such power in having people that you can bring your big ideas to, your darkest fears. There's power in that, but there's also a layer of discernment that not
Yep.
every voice you hear is meant for you. It might be meant for someone else. And I think we try to touch on that. I just think it's very important because everything that I do is bringing people together. There's so much magic that can come from that space, but you also have to have the awareness that it's not always going to be the right fit. It doesn't mean this whole experience was bad. It was just I didn't need that message. That was maybe for someone else who heard it behind,
It demonize the messenger or the
Yes.
message, and we're like, oh, that's not it, and that's not for me. When you were talking right now, I'm like a big visual person, and I just saw like this massive, beautiful buffet in front of you. You get to take a little bit of everything when you're in a situation like that, and that's how I want more people to look at life. Is like you are being presented with so much variety. Like
Yeah.
take a bite of something, and if it really feels good or like
Taste it.
tastes good to you, like then you can get more of it or you can enjoy what's there. But like you don't have to, you're not going to like everything you taste.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that the person who made it is bad or
Or that
whatever.
the
It's
person
like,
right next to you will love it. Yes.
so it's
The
like,
case.
just like thanking people for the information. I think we go into that like people pleasing mode too, where we feel bad if we don't take someone's advice. Like these people care about me. They're giving me advice. Well, am I
It's not
like
landing how I
basically,
wanted
yeah,
to. Yeah.
saying fuck you if I don't take her advice? And it's like, no, it just, thank you so much for that perspective. And I'm very clear. It's really cool to know that's a great exercise. Like, is this for me? Is this not for me?
Yeah.
Yes or no? What does my body feel right now? What is my intuition saying? So
Yeah.
really good stuff.
Yeah.
Such good stuff.
All right, we're doing pretty good on time, so we should probably go ahead and wrap it up. Kristen is going to be at the Stylist Soul Tribe retreat end of September so September 28th to October 1st. Tickets to that are already sold. We do have someone interested in selling a ticket right now, which I just posted inside of the Facebook group. So if you needed one more, maybe by the time this is released, it will still be available. And I'm so excited for that. It's going to be what, the fifth that you've been to? It's been a lot now. Two in Chicago, one in
Miami. This will be the fourth. Yeah.
so we have such a great time. We just had a retreat announcement call. We are going to start off in Denver. We're going to road trip into the mountains. Everyone's staying in A-frame cabins in Colorado. I'm so fucking excited. I cannot wait. Do you want to share a little bit about your upcoming retreat, just in case anybody is interested in that? And I can put that in the show notes as well.
Yeah, so retreat is happening beginning of November in Tulum, Mexico.
Actually, my birthday. That's funny. My retreat is your birthday. Your retreat is my birthday.
So I'm hosting in Tulum, Mexico. I'm teaching Reiki 1 and Reiki 2, and I teach that in a different way than most people do because I learn differently and I think everybody does. So that is happening. It's going to be absolutely magical. I've been there before to this space and I just love it. It holds such a beautiful space in my heart. And, even beyond retreat, like if you're not quite ready to go there yet, because it's a big commitment. It's a big jump to like jump into a 3-day energy retreat with some chick you just heard on a podcast.
Yeah.
If you want to learn more about energy, you can follow me on Instagram. I do energy coaching with people one-on-one. I'm really working with people through some very intimate things. And there's been some things where I will come in and do things with Soul Tribe, and that's great because everybody already knows each other. But I've kind of pulled my foot off the gas with group coaching energetically because it is a very vulnerable and deep space. And the girls that I just dove into this beautiful new container with I'm like, we're 1 month in and I'm like blown away by them. I can't imagine at the end of 6 months. So it feels really good to have that in a process and in the path so that people can jump in and have some structure in their healing and understanding of what's going on deeper. If intuition is something that's super foreign to you and you're like, what the hell even are you talking about?
Start a conversation.
Just jump on and chat with me. I'm always open to chatting in my DMs.
I think going back to intuition, I love over the years, I've even just watched the way your offerings stay so fluid and intuitive, and what is happening right now, a year from now, I don't know when you're listening to this podcast episode, it could be entirely different. So I would just say, yeah, I'll put your Instagram in the show notes and people can give you a follow and just see what you have going on. But a conversation truly, because if 3 people hear this and they come to you with a similar thing, that will lead the next thing. And so I agree. It's that breadcrumb trail. It's following that thread that if anything that we talked about today spoke to you, feel free to reach out to Kristen or I.
Thank you for having me, Lise. Always. I'm so excited about Soul Tribe Retreat. Cannot even wait. Always love coming into your community and just
thank you everybody for listening. I will have everything in the show notes and I will talk to you all, I want to say next week, but if not, maybe in 2 weeks. Don't judge me for being a little bit slacking.
It's summer, girl. Enjoy your children and life right
my
now.
flow. I appreciate you, friend.
Yeah,
all right,
for sure.
bye guys.
Love you.